Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see very important articles that appeared in our today's newspaper. So let's get started. First I'll let you know important topics of the day, and later on we are going to analyze each and every topic from prelims and as well as mains point of view, and even I'll let you know how questions can be asked from that topic, and at last I'll be giving you prelims practice questions. Okay? Yes. Let us see the topics of the day. The first topic is blast kills 8 at Vishakhapatnam steel plant. This article is important from disaster management from GS paper 3. And next topic is gallantry awards conferred on security personnel. IAF pilot receives Kirti Chakra. So here you have to know about what are those gallantry awards. And this topic is important from governance from GS paper 2. And next topic is India expanded its nuclear arsenal in 2025, says CIPRI. CIPRI came up with a report which says about India's nuclear arsenals. Okay, and this topic is important from GS paper 3 under science and technology. And next topic is Nicobar project will enhance maritime security, says officials. This article is talking about again a Great Nicobar development project, and it is talking about exactly how it is going to enhance our maritime security. And this topic is important from GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. And next topic is government cuts subsidized LPG cylinders under Ujjwala to 4 from 9. So actually government used to give subsidy for LPG cylinders under PM Ujjwala scheme. But because of crisis now, earlier it used to give 9, now it reduced it to number 4. So this article is important from governance from GS paper 2. And next topic is the Oman CEPA, that is Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, a new gateway for India's exports. So this article is talking about economic relations between India and Oman, and this topic is important from GS paper 2 on international relations, and even we can see this topic from economy from GS paper 3. So all these are the topics now we are going to see in this class. Okay, now read out the title, guys. What it says: blast kills 8 at Vishakhapatnam steel plant. Everyone knows about steel plant, right? It is located in Vishakhapatnam. Vishakhapatnam is famous for the steel plant. In that steel plant, one accident happened. In that incident, what happened? Fire erupted because of a blast. In that blast, 8 were killed. Okay, in your syllabus, you have disaster management subject, which comes under your paper 3. In GS paper 3, you have this subject called as disaster management, which deals with disaster. Disaster is nothing but any incident or accident which leads to the loss of life of people or loss of property. That is called as a disaster. And now in this incident, around 8 people they died. That means, can I say it is a disaster? And even it caused the loss of property in that Vishakhapatnam steel plant. So here we can study this article from disaster management. Okay, whenever you are seeing any incident which caused the loss of life of people or loss of property, what you have to see is what are the reasons behind that incident. Okay, you have to see what are the reasons, and next you have to see what is the impact of that incident, and next you have to see what are the measures can be taken to prevent this kind of incidents in future or to reduce impact of that incident. In disaster management, you will get questions in this way: what are the reasons for this so and so accident? Okay, can you tell me some examples of disasters? We have 2 types of disasters. We have natural disasters and we have man-made disaster. Natural disasters example, for example, if there is any very heavy rainfall like cloudburst or flash floods, or else like earthquake or volcanic eruption, those comes under natural disasters. What about this man-made? So where man is involved and man caused that disaster comes under man-made disaster. For example, this kind of accidents, industrial disasters, majorly comes under this man-made disaster. And it happened in Vishakhapatnam steel plant. We can also consider this as one example of industrial disaster, and it is example of man-made disaster. And now exactly what you have to see is what are the reasons behind this incident now. And next you have to see what are the measures that can be taken. So if UPSC wants to give a mains question, how it will give? In the light of recent accident in Visakhapatnam steel plant, discuss reasons and suggest some measures. In that way, they'll give you a 10 marker question. Okay, clear? And this disaster management is there only for your mains. From prelims, there will be a no question. Okay? Now, let us see what are the reasons behind this blast. You can see this image. And entirely yesterday's, if you see the news channels yesterday, it was highlighted by this topic of blast in Visakhapatnam steel plant. So here you have to see exactly what are the reasons behind it, and next you have to see what are the measures can be taken. And one more point I want to say is, whenever you are seeing measures, you have to see two types of measures. One is short term measures, that means immediately what are the measures can be taken, and next one is long term measures, that means in future. Short term measures will be normally from 1 to 3 months, what immediate steps we have to take. Long term means from 3 months to like years, what steps we have to take to improve safety in this kind of industries. Okay, now let us see the reasons. The first important reason which highlighted in most of the news channels and even most of the articles of newspaper is technical and mechanical failure. So whatever the equipments they will use to take out this liquid steel, so there is a technical failure. There was a crack in that so and so equipment. So because of that, what happened? The spilling of this very high temperature at which this liquid steel is there, that had been spilled here and there. That is the one reason. There is technical and mechanical failure. And second important reason they highlighted is, if you take any company, if you take any private industry, obviously they will work for their increasing or maximization of profit. They will be like profit oriented. If you take government, it will be focusing on service. Public service oriented will be there related to public. And if you take private, they will always focus on maximization of profits. So here in this case also, some news articles are saying that they are focusing on cost cutting and they want to reduce the maintenance cost. For that reason, they started using of raw material of low quality. And next one here is, because of this using of low quality or substandard. Substandard means nothing but low quality raw material, that led to internal reaction. So that is a second reason which highlighted in most of the newspaper articles. Okay, and next one here is, they are not following proper maintenance. You know, if you are using any two-wheeler or four-wheeler, we have to go for servicing after so and so kilometers which had been traveled. So what happens if you go to any service center? Obviously, we have to pay some amount of money, right? So in the same way, whatever the equipments or machinery we are using in our industry, we have to go for maintenance. That means nothing but servicing of that so and so equipment. So here what is happening? To reduce their operational cost, they are not going for maintenance cycle. They are skipping this maintenance cycle. Okay. So that is the next reason they said. And next one is, there is also operation procedural lapses. Like they are not properly mixing. As you all know that steel is an alloy. Alloy is nothing but it made by using different mixture. So here we are using manganese, iron ore, and it should be mixed with organic gas. You know, organic gas, it is an inert gas. So to reduce this chemical reactions in this kind of mixture, we have to go for using of a proper proportion of this alloy. But here there is also, they are not proper mixture. So because of this uncontrolled reaction is happening in that slug. So these are the major reasons which mainly highlighted that led to this accident in Visakhapatnam steel plant. And now you have to think about what are the measures that we have to take. And here you have to see short-term measures and as well as long-term measures. And now you guys tell me what are the short-term measures we have to take. Immediately, what steps we have to take? Come on, think. Online students, tell me in the comment box. Okay, first one here is, obviously they said they are not maintaining quality. First of all, we have to ensure strict quality control. And here one important point which they highlighted is raw material is of low quality or substandard quality. So we have to ensure that there is a third party testing for all raw materials related to quality. That is the next point. And this one here is we have to enhance training. If labor who are taken to do work in that factory, if they're not having any training, like how they have to mix and what is the proportion they have to mix, obviously this kind of instance can happen. So we have to go for training for all regular and contract workers who are handling this mixture. And this one here is we have to increase inspections. And next one is we have to upgrade maintenance schedule of equipment which we are using in that plant. And next one is we have to ensure experienced supervisors are there in this hazardous zones. Wherever we have like a high, like wherever we have like strict prohibited areas, wherever there is a chance of accidents like that. So we have to ensure proper supervision should be there. So these are the short-term measures that we have to take to prevent this kind of incidents in future. Okay. And now let us see what are the long-term measures. First one here is we have to enhance safety and we have to increase budget for maintenance. And next one is we want to come up with a comprehensive safety management in this steel plant. And next one here is we have to install, or we can use AI now in this kind of plants also related to sensors. We can install AI based sensors so that we can get advanced early warning system related to the equipment, or if there is any signs of danger, it will be alerting this labor who are working there so that we can reduce the loss of life. And next one is we can create a joint safety committee with experts and they will go for regular audits. You know this audits, right? Audit mechanism. Okay, next one is we have to improve regulatory oversight also. So in this way we can take some short-term steps and as well as long-term measures so that we can address this kind of issues in future also. Okay, so this is about that topic and it is only related to your mains. You cannot expect any prelims based question from this area. Okay, now let us see the next article. See the title, guys. Gallantry Awards conferred on security personnel. IAF pilot receives Kirti Chakra. The key word in this article here is Gallantry Awards. And this is very important from your prelims point of view. UPSC has a tendency to ask questions related to prelims on this Gallantry Awards. So how it can give a question? Consider the following statements regarding Gallantry Awards. And they may give you 2 to 3 statements and they may ask you to identify which of the above statements are correct or incorrect. That is the first question. And in this Gallantry Awards, we have 2 types. During war and next one is during peacetime. Here we have 3 and here we have 3, total it is 6. Okay, so how UPSC can frame a question? Consider the following and they'll give you in this 3, right? So they may give you 4 or 5 and they may ask you which of the above comes under wartime gallantry awards or which of the above comes under peacetime gallantry awards. Like that you may get this kind of question. So there are 2 possible questions from this topic and you have to know about it. Okay, it is only for prelims. UPSC cannot ask any mains question related to this awards. Have you ever seen any awards based question mains? For sure, no. Only from prelims it may ask a question. Okay, now let us see some facts related to this awards, and these are those awards, guys. First 3 are one set and second 3 are next set. One is at the wartime and one is at the peacetime. So recently, Operation Sindoor India conducted, right? Why India did Operation Sindoor? Because TRF, one terrorist organization of LET, attacked Hindus. Yes, they targeted Hindus and they killed male Hindus. In which place? Pahalgam region, which is a famous tourist site. And after that, in retaliation, India launched Operation Sindoor. Right. So at that time, if someone died, if someone shown bravery, for them, our government will be announcing this kind of awards during wartime. If there is no war, peacefully everything is going on. At that time, government will be announcing gallantry awards at peace time. Okay. If you see about this gallantry awards, they are given to a personnel for displaying raw courage and parallel bravery. So for the people who showed this bravery and courage, and they will be fighting in the battleground, despite they will not bother about their life. In that way, they will show courage and as well as bravery. I think you might have seen in many movies related to army jawans how they will be fighting. So for that kind of courage and bravery, these awards will be given by Government of India, and they are called as gallantry awards. And these awards will be announced twice in a year. That means in a year, 2 times they will announce this awards. Every year we'll celebrate Republic Day and as well as Independence Day, right? So one will be on Republic Day, on the occasion of Republic Day, and second will be on occasion of Independence Day. Every year twice this gallantry awards will be announced. And we have 2 types. One is during wartime, they are called as gallantry award in the face of enemy. That means during the time of war. We have 3. First one is Param Veer Chakra. Next one is Mahavir Chakra. And third one is Veer Chakra. Please make a note. Wartime awards, Param Veer Chakra. Wartime awards, Param Veer Chakra. Second one is Mahavir Chakra. Paramveer Chakra, Mahavir Chakra. Third one is Veer Chakra. Veer Chakra. So these are 3 awards given during the time of war. And next one here is second heading, write down, during peace time. During peace time, we have again 3. Ashok Chakra. You know, Ashoka is famous for Dhammagosha. Yes, peace. In that way also you can remember, during peace time, Ashok Chakra, Kirti Chakra and Shaurya Chakra. Ashok Chakra, Kirti Chakra and Shaurya Chakra. So remember this, it is more than enough. Okay, see this next article title, guys, read out it. India expanded its nuclear arsenal in 2025, says CIPRI. So in this article, there are 2 keywords. First one is CIPRI, second one is nuclear arsenal. First, you have to know what exactly the meaning of nuclear arsenal, and then we'll come to this title. Okay? Do you think India is having nuclear weapons or not? India is having nuclear weapons or not? Yes. Why India developed nuclear weapons? What is the reason behind it? For improving of security. And from which countries we are having threat? From Pakistan and from China we are having threat. Okay. Do this Pakistan have this nuclear weapons? What about China? If our enemy countries are having that, if we are not possessing that, then what happen? Will we win in the war if we are waging a war against that country? No, right. For that reason, India developed nuclear weapons. India is a nuclear weapon country. And here CIPRI is one organization which will be doing research related to countries which are having this nuclear weapons, and it will be giving the details like which country is having how many weapons, like that. Okay, now let us understand what is the meaning of this nuclear arsenal exactly. Nuclear arsenal is nothing but it is a total collection of nuclear weapons and even delivery systems which is processed by that country. Nuclear arsenal means nothing but total weapons, not only nuclear bombs, even how we are delivering that. If you want to throw a bomb, have you seen how USA throwed bomb atomic bomb on this Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Have you seen that videos on YouTube? They sent one aircraft. From that they dropped this bomb, no? Please watch that kind of videos, then you will get idea like how we will use this equipments to drop weapons on other country. Okay, so here India is also having nuclear bomb, and even we are having deliverables like which equipments will use to drop that bomb in the other country. So this nuclear arsenal is nothing but whatever the nuclear bombs, nuclear weapons and the delivery system we have. It is nothing but in simple way we can say like it is a stockpile of atomic and thermonuclear bombs and what are the missiles we have, okay, and military related equipment. So all these together comes under this nuclear arsenal. And CIPRI came up with a report and it said that compared to 2025 and 2026, India's nuclear weapons are increased by 10. Okay, we increased our weapons by 10 in number when we compare with this last year and this year. Because of this, that is a news. Okay, now let us see this article title. It says that India is estimated to have modestly expanded its nuclear arsenal in 2025 and continued developing new nuclear delivery system. Okay, so CIPRI came up with a report in 2026 and is saying that in 2025, yes, India had good number of nuclear arsenals, and by 2026 further we expanded our nuclear arsenal. And now tell me guys, why we are expanding this? To enhance safety and security of our Indians. Yes, that is a reason. Yes. Okay, now let us see what is about this CIPRI. So if UPSC asks question on this, it will ask question on this CIPRI. Consider the following statements regarding CIPRI, and they will give you 2 to 3 statements and they will ask you to identify which of the above statements are correct or incorrect. They will ask only regarding the CIPRI. And in mains, they may ask you about analysis based question related to nuclear arsenals. In mains, if UPSC wants to give a question, the question can go in this way. Recently, CIPRI released Yearbook 2026. In that book, it stated that India is expanding its nuclear arsenals. In the light of this statement, discuss the reasons and challenges faced by India to enhance nuclear arsenals. Are you understanding? In this way, UPSC will ask you mains based question. From mains point of view, what you have to see, what exactly the meaning of nuclear arsenals you have to know, and you have to collect the data regarding how many weapons India has, because that data you can write in introduction. And next you have to see what are the reasons why India is developing these nuclear weapons. And next one is what challenges we are facing to develop this, we have to see. In that challenges, you have to know about NSG. India is not part of NSG, no? Nuclear Supplier Group. Okay. And next you have to see what are the advantages of developing of this nuclear weapons. In that way, UPSC will ask you a mains based question. Okay, now let us see about CIPRI. CIPRI is Independent International Institute, and it is focusing mainly on research related to conflict, armaments and arms control. It will be focusing only on this, which country is having how many weapons and how they are using that weapons, and recently whether they used any weapon against any other country or not, whether that country is involved in conflict with any other country or not. It will be doing research on that only, and it is international independent organization. Okay, it is established near 1966. What happened in 1965? Any idea? 1965 and 1962. India-China war, India-Pakistan war, right? And especially during 1960s, world was in Cold War era. Before that, World War II happened. After this World War II, when this World War II ended, 1945 it was ended, and after that entire world entered into this Cold War era. Yes, and after that in India, you can see in 1962 India-China war and 1965 India-Pakistan war happened. So because of this, what happened during this Cold War era, what different countries it was, they focused on this nuclear weapons and they started developing nuclear weapons. So because of this independent organization was formed to see like how countries are developing their nuclear arsenals, and it gives the report and it will make other countries to aware like which country is having how many weapons. Okay, so because of this what happened, we can establish somewhat peace. Okay, next one, if you see here, the CIPRI provides data, analysis and recommendations based on the sources to policy makers related to this nuclear arsenals. Okay, and it is mainly funded by Swedish government. Okay, so these are the some important facts. Actually, if UPSC wants to give any question related to CIPRI, one statement will be in this way: it is an United Nations organization. It is not United Nations organization. It is just an independent national organization which is getting fund from Sweden, Swedish government. So that will be there. Normally, it is one trap used by UPSC. If it is asking any question regarding any body, it will add United Nations at last. Okay, you have to cross check whether it is really United Nations organization or whether it is any other organization. Okay, and say this article, guys. Nicobar project will enhance maritime security, says officials. From last 3 to 4 months onwards, we are discussing this topic on everyday basis. So you know about this Great Nicobar project, right? What is this Great Nicobar project? So here we have which islands? Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Upper part is Andaman and lower part is Nicobar. Yes? And government proposed development project in this Nicobar Islands. Here we are developing a project and the name of that project is Great Nicobar Development Project. And in this project what we are constructing? We are constructing 4 important things that you have to remember. First one is transshipment port. First one is transshipment port and second one is airport. This is related to seaport. And next one is we are constructing airport. And next one is if you are getting this kind of infrastructure, many people will come and we can also improve tourism. So for that reason, we need to construct hotels, restaurants, right? That comes under township. We are developing one township. And to provide power supply for this seaport, airport and township, we are also developing gas and solar power plant in that area. Okay? Solar and power plant. So these are the 4 things that we are developing in this Great Nicobar Development Project. And government is saying that yes, we need this project to improve maritime security, to boost our economy and to boost tourism. And nearby we have Southeast Asian nations. We have Singapore, we have Indonesia, like that. So here because of this transshipment port, we can divert some cargo from nearby busiest ports towards our port so that we can also improve our economy. We can attract foreign reserves in that region. Obviously, if we are developing this port, airport, township, power plant, we can attract more investments from other countries also, right? So these are the ideas behind this Great Nicobar Development Project. But there is a huge problem related to this project. What is that problem? As you all know that Andaman Nicobar region we have evergreen forest. Okay, we have evergreen forest in that region. If we want to go for construction of this project, obviously we have to cut down the trees. So millions of trees we have to cut down. So if you are cutting down the trees, that concept is called as deforestation. So because of this deforestation, what happened? Carbon dioxide emissions will be increased or reduced? Increased. Carbon dioxide emissions will be increased. So if carbon dioxide emissions is increasing, what about the global warming? Increase or decreases? Yes, there will be increased global warming. This is one important problem. And next important problem here is Andaman and Nicobar regions, especially in that forest area, we can see certain tribal communities. Okay, if we want to go for this development project here, we have to cut down the trees so that we will destroy the habitat of tribal people. So, which are those tribals? And you have to remember this name of these tribals. One is Nicobaris and second one is Shompen. These two are the tribal people. They are going to lose their houses, habitat, livelihood in that region. And third one is forest forest is famous for some animals. Yes. So here in this Nicobar region, we can see some special endemic species like leatherback turtles. If possible, please see the image of this leatherback turtles after the class. So it is one of the largest turtle species in the world. And this turtle species is going to lose its habitat. And next one is we have Nicobar megapode. It is one bird. Nicobar megapode is seen in that area. It will also lose its habitat. And next one is we have Nicobar tree shrew. It is like squirrel. It will be seen only in that region. So these animals will lose its habitats. So these are the major challenges. But what government is saying? They are saying cost benefit analysis, and they are saying that we are going to have more advantages if you are going for this development. How? India can reach this target of developed country status. India can increase its economy to $5 trillion economy, and we can attract foreign reserves, and we can go for development in that regions. And here we have Indian Ocean region, right? In Indian Ocean region also we can increase our security and safety in that region, so that we can enhance overall maritime security for our country. So like that, government is giving lots of reasons. Okay, now this article is talking about how this project will enhance maritime security, and this may be a 10 marker or 15 marker question in your mains. So how UPSC can ask you a question? Recently government announced Great Nicobar Development Project. Discuss how this project will enhance maritime security. Like that, UPSC can ask you a question. Okay, and it may be like 10 marker or 15 marker. From prelims point of view, it may ask about what this project is about, and they may ask you about geography of Andaman and Nicobar. Already UPSC asked question related to geography of Andaman and Nicobar in 2026 case. And next year, for sure, it will ask question on this GNDP, Great Nicobar Development Project. In that way, you have to prepare. Okay, now let us see how this project is going to enhance maritime security. Please make a note of it. Nicobar project, how it will ensure maritime security. I will tell 4 to 5 important points which are given in this article. Please make note of it, and if you get any mains based question, you have to add those points for sure. Okay, online students. Okay, first one here is, it will boost regional connectivity. First one is it will boost regional connectivity. It will boost regional connectivity. It will boost regional connectivity and enhance India's presence. In Indo-Pacific region. Okay, done. It will enhance India's presence in Indo-Pacific region. And second point, this project will transform Great Nicobar into key maritime and economic hub. And next point, write down. It can enhance defense capabilities. It can enhance defense capabilities. It can enhance defense capabilities in Indian Ocean region. Next point. It can improve critical position. It can improve critical position. It can improve critical position of India along global shipping lanes. Of India along global shipping lanes. Next one. It helps to reduce. It helps to reduce. It helps to reduce India's dependence on. It helps to reduce India's dependence on foreign transshipment ports. Foreign transshipment ports. Foreign transshipment ports and monitor vital sea lanes of communication. And monitor vital sea lanes of communication. And monitor vital sea lanes of communication. And next, it improves maritime domain awareness. It improves maritime domain awareness. It improves maritime domain awareness, logistic support, logistic support and rapid deployment capabilities. And rapid deployment capabilities. And rapid deployment capabilities. And next point, write down. It is expected to generate. It is expected to generate 1 lakh direct and indirect. 1 lakh direct and indirect employment opportunities. Employment opportunities that leads to significant boost to economy. So I gave you almost all important points which are given in this article. Try to prioritize while writing your answer. Okay. See this next article, guys. Read out the title. Government cuts subsidized LPG cylinders under Ujjwala to 4 from 9. Here the keyword is PM Ujjwala Yojana. Every year you will get at least 2 to 3 questions related to schemes of government in your prelims. And even in mains also you will get questions, right? Especially from society and social justice, they will be giving you questions related to schemes which are focused on women, children and vulnerable sections like SC and ST. In prelims, how they will ask a question? Consider the following statements regarding PM Ujjwala Yojana, and they will give you statements and they may ask you which of the above are correct or incorrect. And in mains, how they will give questions? Okay, PM Ujjwala Yojana completed like 5 years or 10 years. So what are the achievements of this scheme? What are the challenges and what are the advantages? In that way, they will ask you analysis based questions in your mains. For example, if there is any new scheme launched by the government, they will ask you about what are the features of the scheme, what are the advantages of the scheme, or what are the challenges. From schemes, you have to see this case. Beyond that, they will ask nothing. Okay, now here, see the number. They said that earlier they used to give 9 cylinders, but now they reduce it to 4. What do you think? Why government reduced this subsidized cylinders under this PM Ujjwala? Yes, as you know, war is going on in this West Asian region. So because of this, we are facing gas crisis. Okay, under this PM Ujjwala scheme, government is providing subsidized gas cylinders for the people who are eligible, not for all. For eligible people, they are giving. But now what is happening here? Gas shortage is there. So because of this, now government reduced that number from 9 to 4. Every year, the government used to give 9 cylinders. But now it is reduced to 4 cylinders. What is the reason? Because of West Asian crisis. You know this. And now let us see some facts regarding this scheme. Name of that scheme is Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. And there is one more name in a similar way. That is Pradhan Mantri Ujjala Yojana. Ujjwala is about gas cylinders. Ujjala is about LED lights. Government is promoting LED lights. Okay, don't confuse with this Ujjwala and Ujjala. Okay, Ujjwala is for gas and Ujjala is for LED lights. Okay, if you see about this scheme was launched by the government in year 2016. Please make a note, 2016. They may ask you year also. And next, what is the aim of this scheme? To provide LPG connections to poor households. Why government is targeting this poor people to give this LPG cylinders? What is the reason? What do you think? Food is the basic necessity of people. Without food, we cannot live, right? So if you see how this poor people will cook the food by using firewood, yes. So who will get this firewood from nearby forest, or who will collect this? Women. That means women has to spend extra time for what? Collecting of firewood. And not only that, women is responsible for ensuring water in the family also. They will take this pots and they will go to nearby lake or nearby river or water source and they will bring the water. So actually under this scheme, government is trying to provide LPG cylinders to the poor households. Why? Because whenever we are cooking our food by using this firewood, it will release lots of smoke. Yes, it will release soot also. Have you seen, like, very fine ash and soot will be released? So normally who will be there in this kitchen with this firewood? Women. Along with women, small babies. So they will inhale this air, polluted air. That will causes what? Lung infections, throat infections in children and as well as women. So to replace that, to provide alternate for this firewood, government launched this scheme so that we can improve the health of women. Not only health of women, we can also reduce pollution in the atmosphere. And next one here is to improve green cover also. This scheme will be helpful. Are you understanding here? So because of that reason, government came up with this PM Ujjwala Yojana in 2016. It is providing subsidized LPG cylinders for poor people. Okay. And next one here is a deposit free LPG connection is given to eligible financial assistance of rupees 1600 per connection by center. Okay. So here under this scheme, whoever they are eligible, first whenever they are registering with the government, they will give gas stove and as well as LPG cylinder for free of cost. And from the next time onwards, they will be giving subsidy on this LPG cylinder for refilling of that cylinder. So who are eligible? So normally UPSC can ask you a question on eligibility criteria also. Who are eligible here? Applicant must be a woman and the age of the woman should be more than 18 years of age. And they should be a citizen of India. That means if you are migrant or if there are any refugees, for that this scheme is not eligible. Only Indian citizens should apply for it. And which one is they have to belongs to this below poverty line household. And one more criteria is no one in the applicant household should have their own LPG. Okay, that is also one important criteria. And next one is the household income of that family per month must not exceed a certain limit which is defined by the government. Okay, that is the thing, guys. So these are the eligibility criteria. And what are the objectives of the scheme? First one is we have to empower women and we have to protect the health of the women and as well as children. And next one here is we have to reduce serious health hazards associated with cooking based on this fossil fuels. And next one is we have to reduce number of deaths in India due to unclean cooking fuel, because women are most vulnerable for this smoke and polluted air. So because of this, there is increasing of deaths of women also, and they want to reduce the deaths. And this one is they want to prevent young children from significant number of acute respiratory illness because of indoor air pollution. Okay, so these are the aims and objectives of the scheme, guys. Okay, see this article, guys. Read out the title. The Oman SEPA, a new gateway for Indian exports. So here there are two keywords. First one is you have to know about SEPA. SEPA full form is Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. And next important one here is Oman. So have you heard this Oman country? Oman is the name of a country where it is in West Asia. So as I said, whenever you are getting any international relations based articles, you have to open map and you have to see exactly where it is located. Okay. Now let us see map of Oman. I attached a map. Can you see this map, guys? At least somewhat. Here we have Iraq, Here we have Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, and here we have UAE. So where is our country? This is our country. Which is sharing boundary with, here what we have? Arabian Sea. Right. Okay. So if UPSC wants to give a question on Oman, how it can give? Consider the following countries. They'll give 4 to 5 countries and they may ask you which of the above countries are sharing boundary with Oman, or which of the countries are not sharing boundary with Oman. Now tell me, guys, which countries are sharing boundary with this Oman? This is Oman, no? Here also we have a tip. This tip is also Oman. Here we have UAE, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, with which it is sharing boundary. Okay, now where is India? Here it is Iran, Pakistan. Here we have India, right? So we are making agreement with this Oman now, and this agreement is SEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership. This agreement is focusing on improving of economic ties between India and Oman. Okay, so this is the basic idea that you need to know about the map. You have to know the countries you're sharing boundary and you have to see exactly where it is located at least. Okay, now what exactly this article is saying? The Oman SEPA. You know about where is Oman? What is this SEPA? A new gateway for Indian exports. What does it mean, guys? A new gateway for Indian exports means what? Now this SEPA came into operational. So if you want to know a brief background of this, actually we came up with this SEPA in year 2025. But now in the month of June 2026, it came into operation. That means this agreement is now implemented from Indian side and Oman side. So because of this, what happened? We can boost our exports between India and Oman, guys. So if UPSC wants to ask a question, how it can ask? Recently, India signed SEPA with Oman. In the light of this statement, what are the advantages to India? And it may ask what are the measures or like what are the challenges. Like that it may ask. And even you have to know what exactly the things written in this SEPA agreement also. Right. Now let us see that clearly. So this article is saying that the landmark India-Oman SEPA, that is Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, entered into force. And when we signed it, we signed in the month of December 2025. What is the reason why we signed it? to improve economic partnership or to improve economic ties with Oman. Okay, now let us see what are the things which are there in this part of this SEPA. The first point here is immediate duty-free export expansion. That means they are not going to impose any tariffs on Indian goods which enters into Oman. You know this, right? So whenever we are getting imports from any other country, we will impose some duty. That is called as import tax or import duty. Right. So now as part of this agreement, so if we are sending the goods from India to Oman, Oman will not impose any duty on our Indian goods. So that what happened? There will be increased demand for our Indian goods in Oman. We can sell more and more goods to Iran. That is the first thing. Okay, next one is fast track regulatory authorization of pharmaceuticals. As you all know that India is doing very good in pharmaceuticals and we are exporting our pharmaceuticals to other countries. So if we want to export pharmaceuticals, they will do some checks whether our drugs or whether our medicines are reaching the standards or not. For that reason, they are having fast track regulatory authorization. So whenever we are sending our drug medicines like paracetamol or any cough syrups or anything, immediately they will go for standard checking and they will take that. Okay, or else if there is no fast track authorization means it will lead to the delay in of our exports, right? So here the second point they said is we will establish fast track regulatory authorization of pharmaceuticals. That is the second part in this SEPA. And next one is they said we are also going to extend this services sectors also. Not only we will import goods or export goods, even we can include services. What are those services? Education, healthcare services, or else UPI payment systems. So like that in this SEPA they are also including services. And next one here is now India asked some exemptions related to sensitive sectors. What are those sensitive sectors? As you all know that India is primarily called as agriculture economy, right? And even India is doing very good in this dairy sector. India is the second largest producer of milk in the world. You know that. So here if we are importing this milk related products or dairy products to our country from Oman, that too of duty free, is our farmers will be getting impacted or not? Yes, right. So for that reason, India asked some exemptions related to sensitive sectors like dairy, cereals, fruits, vegetables, edible oils, oil seeds, etc. So that we can protect our domestic people or to protect our Indians. Okay, so these are the some important points in this agreement between India and Oman. Now you guys tell me what is the significance, what is the importance of this agreement? Is that agreement is good or bad? Okay, how it is good? Can we increase our trade? Can we get access to new market now? Next, can we increase our exports? If we are increasing our exports, obviously we have to produce more in our country. If we want to produce more, we have to employ more. Employment will be increased and companies will give wages to them so that the standard of living of people will be increased, poverty decrease and hunger decreases. And next one is we can get access to our pharmaceutical sector also. Okay, next one here is we are going to divert this Strait of Hormuz. No need of going to the Strait of Hormuz now. Here from, okay, do you know this Strait of Hormuz? If you see this image, so this is Strait of Hormuz. Now here we have Oman. From India directly we can come through this route. We don't need to go to this area. Okay, so we can divert or we can reroute this Strait of Hormuz. That is also one important advantage because of war-like situations in this area. And next one is we can increase our exports, we can increase our services and even we can enhance people-to-people mobility. If we want to enhance services, obviously people have to move, no? For example, for repairing of AC, will we take our AC to that AC showroom? No, we'll call them and the people will come, no? In that same way, if you want to improve services, obviously people to people movement will be increased. And next one is we can strengthen our agriculture exports also. And even it is very important to maintain good relationship with Oman because it is a member of Gulf Cooperation Council. Okay, if there is any grouping, if we want to increase our leverage in that grouping, we have to make one friend in that. Right, in that way, Oman will be providing a gateway or access to this Gulf Cooperation Council, and from there we can easily go to this Africa also. Okay, so these are the some important points that you have to remember. Okay, see these questions, guys, and you have to answer this question. Can you see the question? Consider the following statements regarding PM Ujjwala Yojana. First one, it was launched in year 2016. Next, the scheme aims to provide LPG connections to poor households. And next, you have to note down the ministry. I forgot there. Ministry is Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. By the name itself, you can identify, yes, it is correct. And next one, the scheme seeks to reduce indoor air pollution caused by traditional cooking fuels. And tell me which are the right statements or which are the wrong statements. All. First one is for sure 2016, and this scheme is about LPG only. Ministry is correct ministry. And this one is I said about indoor air pollution. Yes. So our correct answer is 1, 2, 3 and 4. All are right statements. In that way, they will give you a prelims based question. Okay, see this next one, guys. Consider the following statements regarding SIPRI. And they gave 4 statements. First one is SIPRI stands for Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Next one is headquarters in Sweden. Next one, SIPRI publishes data on military expenditure, arms transfer and global security trends. Next one is it is an organization or organ of United Nations. I said for sure they will use this kind of things. Even in your environment and ecology also, you will be studying about different organizations, conventions. They will add this. It is an organ of UN. Most of the times, 99.99% they will be wrong only. Okay, so it is wrong. So you can eliminate 2 options, which is having 4. Okay, now you have to see only third statement. See this third one. SIPRI publishes data on military expenditure, arms. Yes, security related. So answer is B, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, solving prelims you have to use technique so that you can save your time. If you are not using elimination techniques, you cannot read all the 100 questions in that 2 hours. Because paper is nowadays very lengthy. So you have to use techniques and only you can solve this paper very fast. Okay, that's all guys. By this I'm concluding. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this class, please do hit the like button and please do share this class, guys. And today also we are providing free demo class on online and offline. You can attend our class, guys. The timings of this class is 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. And from tomorrow onwards, if you want to attend the class, you need to join the course, guys. And if you have any queries regarding this course, please do contact us on this number 8074765513. And I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.